So this is the 2-DIN face for an aftermarket stereo system to go in the AU Falcon. Now I'm sure many of you are familiar with this, how it goes together. Just like this, it goes into the top grooves there, screws in the bottom, you know, job's done. You get ready to put the stereo in. Problem is, most aftermarket stereos won't line up with these screws here, and when you put it in, it slides in and clips hard into place, and to get this back out, it's really hard to try and get something in to where these grooves are, not being able to see them, which I'll explain that in the car in a second. So once this is in place, you can't see this, so you don't know if you're pushing here, if you're pushing here to get these down, or where to line up the bottoms, because there's no markings on the front to say this is where those clips are. So when you're trying to remove it, if you want to try and take the stereo system back out, you can't. So, well, you can if you know where they are, but it's really difficult. So I'm going to put the stereo system in different this time, and hopefully it works out. And in case you're wondering, that's the model part number there. So you can see with the old mount, I had to modify it for the head unit to sit in there, for it to go in place. I even used a bit of JB Weld on top just to keep it in place. So it was a bit of a pain, but anyway, so once that was in, it was all okay. But then when I came into the problem I had recently, I had to get the stereo system out, and I couldn't remember where you're pushing the bottom or the top. So it ended up, you can see the mount still on the bottom there, it's broken. I just busted it out of there so I could get the cover off, and the reason being is because you have to get to the side screws here. If I can show you this, there. I had to get to the side screws there so I could take this cover off. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to make plates up for this. So you can see now, this is how the mount's supposed to go in, and the screw holes from the aftermarket kit don't show on this mount. So you got to make your own holes, like see what I've done there, to get it to line up. So I'll be doing that with a plate in place behind the stereo system, so it mounts with the holes at the back, the holes that I'm going to make, that is. And also a lot of aftermarket stereo systems these days don't come with volume controls, which I prefer to have. So this is why I've got this particular aftermarket stereo, and it's getting on in age now, but it still does its job. I've had to remove the chrome surroundings on those buttons there, add my own DIY knob if you wish, just an old spark plug lead top, and you know, if there's something else that's in the way, you might have to modify the side of the housing or the face there, so things work. But in my case, just removing that chrome section and adding my own DIY knob, I can get away with that. I'll make what I'm going to make, and then I'll show you the result before I put it in. I've used the old mounts, so waste not, what not. Instead of, I could have used something like this. I was going to actually use a bit of stainless steel plating to do the idea. Then I got to thinking, nah, just use the old plates, cut them, and I can reuse them. And now I've got them in place there. I'll mount it to this here, so it's ready to go in the car. Okay, so it's pretty much right to go in. I'm thinking about I might paint this first before I put it in. I made the brackets go this way on the one, and go the other way, so that way I can move it up and down, forwards and backwards to suit. That's mounted in, that's ready to go. So before I go putting the head unit in, let's talk about this for a minute. This idea is not the best idea in the world, but I can't find another faceplate for this. I think this is the only type in existence that can actually work. Now how this works is, you've got to clip the bottom in first. I can give you a good look at that. So you can see how that clips in. Now to get these back out, you have to know where, I've already mentioned them, I'm pretty sure of it. You have to know where to slide something in to push those bits that they're down, and know that the stereo has to come forward. Now it's a headache. Anyone who's taken one of these out will know that this is a headache trying to get one of these back out. What I wanted to do was come up with an idea that I didn't have to put these side screws in. So if I ever want to pull the stereo back out, I can just pull this face forward again, like so, and get access to it from the back to push forward, and that would be easy. Now that, on my car, that all clips in properly, and if I put the 2 screws on the bottom, that's probably going to be strong enough to never worry about coming out. Putting them in as well, if I could video it putting it in, you'll see that you'll get it so far in, and you've really got to force that last part in with this head unit, with that faceplate. It's not, I wouldn't say it is a perfect fit, but it's the only option we have if we want a 2-din unit. Could probably put a different faceplate in with the pocket in the bottom and a single stereo up top. A lot of people aren't that picky. As long as I can listen to music, they don't care, but I like having Android head units, so that's what I'm going to have. So I'll put that back together. I really don't think there's a better way than what's already existing here. Just trying to document this as much as possible to show that's where you have to push something in to get this back out, because I really don't want to break it to pull it back out if I ever have to take it back out again. You know, paying $45 for one, it's not something you want to break every time you're trying to change a head unit. So even if you could get those things down, now with the head unit in place, you can see you couldn't push these things down anyway. You really have to. A better design would have been if there was just a cut in the front there. If I was to cut it myself, it would look yuck. But if there was a cut in the front there that you could slide something in for easy removal, would have been a better idea. Because once this is in, once I force this in place, it's going to clip in between these sections here, between there and there. Because I'll show you on the part itself if I can. You can see along here, that's where it clips into. So you really got to get something in, and you can't push that down. So once it's forced into place, that's where it's going to live forever. I'm thinking I might smooth that down. That's what I'll do. If I smooth this down, not flat, I'm not talking about going flat, but give it an angle to go both ways, because this is going to stop me pushing the head unit any further back, and the weight of the head unit is going to hold it there. So that's going to work in my favor. But I just need this here to come like this, so that way if I ever want to remove the stereo system, it should be not as difficult to get it back out. Just wedge something in the top and pull it out. Probably get it in this front part here where it'll be, and be able to wedge it out and get it back out that way. That's exactly what I'll do. Okay, so you see what I've done there? I've just shaved it so it can go both ways easy. So it'll still be in there nice and strong, and it's not going to be as difficult to get out. Next time I want to take the stereo out, I can get a lever in there, probably put a bit of tape or something along here so I don't damage this, and then just put it in there and lever it to get the top of the head unit out, and then it just will come out like the same way it's going to go in. It's going to come out this way, and then I can take it out, because that's how it's going to go in. It's going to go in like that, and then turn it in and clip into place. But that should be all I need to do to make it easy to come out, because it's got enough flip on there, I think. Sorry, this clip's taking a long time. I just really want to make sure that I can do this again. So see how that's a nice sharp edge inside there? That's a nice levering point to get something in, like my knife or something later on, and just lever it into that section there. Can be anywhere along there. Lever it in, and then go like that and get the stereo system back out. You're with me, eh? Alright, let's put this in. Alright, so another struggle is, and if I can show you in there, getting past that point there. So the mount is pushing hard up against the bottom down here. And you can see that there. See how the original manufactured shape there doesn't really want to let the mount pass it. So that's I'm going to fix that up. I've always pushed past it every other time, but this time I'm going to actually cut that area out. Alright, so you can see I've shaved the ends around there. and I did a bit of damage in the corner there, but once this faceplate's in, probably won't see that anyway. So that's shaved around there, and shaved around there, should give it a bit more easy access. Also trimmed off the top part there a little bit. Okay, so try and show you there. So it definitely gets past that point there easier now. Probably a good idea to shave all that side off both sides, so the stereo system is not being squeezed into there, because you can see it's a tight fit in there. See how it's pushing hard up against the stereo casing on the inside. Okay, so I'm recording every single bit of this. Even though the head unit wasn't in all the way properly, it was in that tight that trying to get it out was a real challenge. So I've had to use, I've just got some pieces of stainless laying around. I was able to get in both sides of the stereo there, but that's, you know, another struggle to getting this out. So I am going to shave the sides down. I want to make sure that this is a nice, easy install. Alright, so I'm not going to do any more on this tonight. Just want to make sure I do it properly. Now I'm going to take this whole faceplate back out to trim these sides here completely off, make it nice and flush with this part here. And I've already damaged tonight in the struggle of things. So I'll take this whole cover off, and I'm going to get some plastic weld on the other side of that as well, so put that back into place there. And we'll put the stereo into this outside the car to have a look at what it looks like before I put it back in the car. So I know this video is getting a bit involved now, but bear with me, we'll get there in the end. So I'm going to take this whole face off now. So we've got to remove the connections from the back. So once you've got it forward, take the connections off. I've got 2 screws on both sides of underneath here. I've got 2 screws. I'll just show you the camera as well. Got 2 screws along here and on the other side, and then we can remove this from the top. I'll give you a look now so I don't forget to show you this when I'm pulling it all apart. Now the cable here goes to the door that's underneath behind the glove box here to open between hot and cold. That needs to come off. Be careful not to reef at it, because it can break the plastic behind there and you don't want that to happen. So now that's off, I was right here. So you got 2 screws here, and you're going to use a stubby screwdriver to get into here and remove them, because a normal long screwdriver you don't have the room to do it. And we'll get that off, and everything here behind you is vacuum controlled, so that's why you can hear the suction when you change between everything. But that's pretty much it, and that all comes off. Okay, so I might as well show you. Clearly I've mixed products on the inside of this before. Used this for, it came in handy at the time for whatever reason. But I've metal welded these clips in because they were coming out all the time. I didn't have to this one over here, obviously. Even a cigarette lighter, it's metal welded in. I'll be using plastic weld this time around because I'm fixing this corner here while I've got it off. But just wanted to show you, might as well since I'm here. This is what I remembered, and this is what I thought I had to tackle behind the cluster, is that you have to pull this apart to be able to change those lights. So since I'm this far into it, I'm going to check those lights work still. I'm pretty sure they do, but this is trickier to get to, so you do have to be careful with when you unclip all this and you take all this off. You have to take all this gear off as well to separate the back from the front, and if memory serves me right, and that's how you get that apart so you can change those lights. So it can be quite painful doing that part there. But anyway, if you want to have a look inside there's nothing special. But so now I've got this out of the car, I can show you from the other side. You see how the bracket has pushed against here and has forced that to crack. That's a real tight fit against the sides there. That's why it needs to be trimmed. Look, I'll be straight up with you. The idea of cutting this side of the part here would have worked, but I took the double mount idea that I had to just be able to hook up a stereo and you know, the mounting part there, and tried it, and it slides in quite easily without the double mounting. So I've had to work out where that hole is to drill a hole so I can mount it. Now it just happens to be, you can see the line of the stereo along there, just happens to be that lines up good there, but you see I have to drill my own hole, I've had 3 stereos in this car. This particular one right now is the longest lasting one, and not one of them have lined up to the holes that come with this mount. So what I mean by preparation is everything. So I've hacked away at it, make sure it's all roughed up and everything, so we can do a proper repair in there. I've packed it up with on the sides with aluminum foil, just to it doesn't go anywhere. And so you know, when you put the product on, it's going to want to run. So this is to stop it from running, so we get it more build up in the area I want it to be built up. Now I can mix it up and apply it. Okay, so that's the repair happening there. That's going to be strong enough to touch in 5 minutes, but it takes 24 hours to cure 100%. Okay, so forget the double mount idea that I did there. Was a good idea, but I would have had to have shaved this. So I'm showing you all the footage so you can see that, you know, it's not always just straightforward, especially if you're doing an AU Falcon. These things are just pain in the butt. I've done much easier stereos than this. So what I've done here, no, I'm not a carpenter, so all I've done is winged it. I've drawn a line on the stereo itself where the screws are, and then marked it this way as well. Found the one spot that I could actually drill a hole, because everything else is like right on the edge of things. So it's, you know, it'd be hard to drill a hole there, and it's hard to drill a hole there. So that's the only part that I could actually drill a hole. So I've done that on both sides the same. That's in, and now I'm going to put it into the face there, just to show you there how it goes in. And I've already had it in, and the idea I've got here works, but it's still a tight squeeze. It was still a bit of a drama to get it out. So just looking here, you can see what I did there, how I shaved it earlier to make it so it can slide in and out better. It does work. I'm happy I did that. I'm just showing you the other side there. But I also found that moving it, sliding it from the bottom is probably an easier way to get it out. Just have a look how that clips in there. And that's how to look when it's in the car. Alright, if you've already got an aftermarket stereo system in your car and you want to get it out easy, I think the bottom is easier than the top. I'll just show you why. You can actually get something flat in there and push against the bottom to lever the bottom out. So you might want to try the bottom first. Now I'm just using a knife here. Bottom can flex. The top can't, obviously, because you saw that against the stereo, but the bottom can flex. So getting it flat in there and levering it, get the bottom out first might be the way to do it. But definitely what I've done with shaving those things made it easier for me to get the top out first, so I can just pop it out easy. So I'm ready to put this in the car now. Okay, so about to put this in, I just want to show you there quickly. So I've mended that once before. Hasn't failed me since I've repaired it, but that's what I was talking about, the plastic that breaks at the back. When you be careful when you remove this, and try not to adjust this, because it's a bit of mucking around getting that right as well. If it's too far this way or too far that way, then it's not opening the door correctly. Okay, so that's pretty much it. Now I need to just reverse everything I did before, put it back in. Okay, so what actually shows how long it's been since I've been behind here, because I forgot that you do have to actually undo this here and pull this arm across to give you the slack you need to plug that cable in. See that in there? I've got my hand in there. I've coming in through the front. I got my hand in there, and I'm about to push it into that area. If I can see in there. Sorry, it's just really difficult to see how I can get in there. Hopefully you can see it. I'm kind of holding the camera sideways, but you see what I'm looking at there. Just going to plug it into that point there. I'm going to use both hands to do it, but you see what I'm doing. And then once it's in, I can adjust that. So now that's in, and you can see if I turn this all the way to hot and I'll turn it back to cold, see how it's moving that arm there. So obviously that's pulling towards for cold, so I'm going to pull this way and push up to lock that into place. Try and show you like that. It's not quite in place yet, but it might be good enough to show you. there you go. Okay, and that was just moving the glove box, like unclipping these from there, and then once it's finished, that's in place now, locked in. You just close that glove box, clips back in, and that's done there. I'll put this side screws in now. Before putting the head unit in, just make sure that everything's working. That's on, off, and fog lights. Everything's happy, so put the stereo in. And not to forget the cigarette lighter light, and that the cigarette lighter is all connected back up as well. And the stereo in, so I push the bottom in first. I really wish that I had someone here to sometimes hold the camera for me. Connecting up a tripod and trying to rope it to a chair, it takes longer and is more painful than what it's worth. But anyway, so I pushed the bottom in first, then I clipped the top in, but kind of at the same time as well. But I now know that, well, with this unit I could probably get something in there, like I hope. I don't want to take it out now, but get something flat in there to lever the front, because I've made those curves, should make it easy. But also I now know that on either side I'll get something flat in there. I can wiggle those arms up or bend those arms up and be able to bring it forward from the bottom, which should lower the top enough to pull it forward as well. So foreskin's not going to work right now, I don't think. No adapter found. That's because it's in the settings. So we're all good there. I can continue back to another job that I was previously working on before I got involved here. Since I had all that out from this other job, I wanted to get that done, so the head unit's in properly, nice and firm, no more mucking around. Oh, didn't press connect, did I? Most of the time that connects automatically, but you know, the first time you connect, you've always got to do that. Alrighty, well that's it, head unit in and everything's working. The clip was a bit how you going, but there's a few lessons to learn in there, the mistakes I made and the things I had to relearn, because it's been quite a long time since I've been behind there and pulled the stereo out, so I had to readdress things myself. But you've learned that this lesson is a good video to come back to when you want to pull a head unit out, to just refresh your mind and know all the do's and don'ts. Alright guys, till next time, cheers.